Do you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bread Tree Wealth Management, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. I sincerely hope you folks have had a great week or a great day, great month, great year. I honestly hope it's been great for you all around. And I'm super duper excited to be sharing today's podcast with you. And I'll get into the title in a little bit, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about my week, about my month, because, you know, it's been very interesting. Just got back from Hawaii, but probably about a few months ago, my wife said, well, you know, since we're going back to Hawaii, I really want to go back to Japan and, you know, do some things in Japan. And we had a family member pass away and we wanted to go see family and, you know, just take care of some stuff over there. And so, you know, we did that. And then, you know, then it was a very, very, very neat experience because, you know, I've gone to Japan quite a bit. And every time I go, there's always something different happening back here in the United States or something happening different in the world. But when you go to Japan, it's like all of that just goes away. You don't hear about it. You don't see it. People are just living their lives. And so I really got to enjoy that. And then coming back to Hawaii and then seeing, you know, a handful of clients because I had a limited amount of time there. And it was just really great catching up with everybody. And some things have happened to me over the last month that I would say are the premise for the show, but also I think it's going to be a game changer, not only for my firm, but a game changer for hundreds, if not thousands of people across the United States. And I'm just going to be very humble about this. And I'm going to get into it and I'm going to have some grace about it. And I'm going to share with you something that's going to totally, you know, if this works for you, it's going to totally change your entire life. And so the title of today's show is Self-Directed. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. You know, again, the premise of this show is an article that I read and along with something else that happened. And I'll get into the article and I'm sitting there in a hotel in Japan and I'm facing a regulatory issue with the state of Nevada. And they informed me that the SEC has a particular rule that, you know, that's very, you know, very strict. And what it is we can't log into a client's 401k and then manage their 401k without having a separate username and a separate password. And so I got to deal with that. And so now we have to figure out how to continue to manage our clients' accounts. In some cases, we don't have to have a separate username and password. We can call in and make the trades. And in some cases, if they have a certain type of an account that's with Schwab, we can just put it right under our regular management with Schwab and take care of it there. And, you know, I think I have to pay a fine. I'm not sure yet. We're still working on it. It's not a lot of money, but it's just kind of like my first infraction ever since I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, probably 7 to 8. And, you know, we never came across that. We've been investigated before and we've had all kinds of things done to us, but, you know, just because it's part of compliance. But we'd never come across this before. So we discovered something and I want to make this available to every single American in the United States who has a self-directed 401k. So if you do have one, I want you to listen to me very carefully as I proceed throughout the show. So there's 3 types of people that I've come to find out about. There's the lucky ones. And again, this is an investment show, so all investments do carry risk of loss. Before investing in any stocks or anything like that, you need to do your due diligence, understand your risk tolerance, understand your time horizon, and then make sure that, you know, you're working with someone or you're getting a second opinion or a third opinion, or you're just doing your research and just really understanding that, you know, past performance is no indicator of future results. And so it's very important. But the lucky ones, those who have the right picks at the right time. And if you bought NVIDIA back a while back, you bought Apple a while back, you bought Tesla a while back, and you rode them through all the volatility, you know, and you probably know people who have done that. These people are sitting on a lot of cash right now in their portfolios. I mean, they're done well in their portfolios. And then There's the unlucky ones, those who did the exact opposite. They picked the wrong stocks at the wrong time, and they turned out to be just like a complete disaster. And then you have the third group of people. You have the skillful people, those who figure out the system and they use it to create their own luck or opportunity. And over the past few weeks, I've realized that these are the same types of people when it comes to retirement or anything in life. You can apply this to anything. And I live out here in Las Vegas, and people come out here a lot, frequently, every day. You know, I just got back to the airport, I think it was yesterday. And I got here, there's like so many people. I said, God, dog, where are all these people coming from? And I heard there's a rodeo out here, and there's people just coming in from everywhere. And you've all heard the stories about how people have won big and they lost big out here. And you watch WSOP, stands for World Series of Poker. And these are the people who have figured out the system, figured it out, and they know how to play the game. And many people think that, just like anything else, the financial system is rigged, and like, okay, the casino's going to make all the money and the house always wins and all of this stuff. And the system is not rigged. I'm just going to tell you, it's just calibrated a certain way. Okay, it's calibrated a certain way. And, you know, the article I read, I don't know if I said it earlier, is about a man who, I don't like talking about this stuff, but it really just, it made me angry when I read it. This man had his retirement at one of the certain, you know, custodians. And I think he had like $800,000 in there. And he was a smart guy and he did okay. And, you know, here he is, $800,000. He's about to retire. I would say he's been pretty lucky up until this point. He hasn't worked with anybody. He just bought the mutual funds and, you know, he held on to them and he just rolled through all the volatility. And now he looks up and he's facing retirement. And he says to the wife, honey, I don't know what to do. He talks to some friends and the friends referred him over to this guy that was guaranteeing him 15% a year on his $800,000. I think it was even close to $1 million. And it's like, if I get guaranteed 15% of the year for the rest of my life, that's $150,000. I don't need that much. He's like, man, I'm set. So he rolled the money over to this guy. And lo and behold, when it was time to get the money out, there was nothing there because this guy, he had been banned by the SEC, created something and lied about it and said he was hooked up to this insurance company or the other thing or the other. And basically it was a scam. And it was millions upon millions of dollars that went missing. And these people are probably never going to see anything ever again. And this made me angry. I'm going to get dinged for logging in and managing my clients' 401ks, although that's my fault. I should have known about the rule. But I don't have access to pull their money out. I can't do any of that stuff. I can't transfer their money anywhere because the 401k accounts aren't set up that way. As a matter of fact, I can't even take fees out of the client's accounts. If they want to pay me, they have to pay me some other kind of way. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But here I am, you know, doing my best to help people and grow their wealth. And here these shysters are running away and you don't have enough oversight to catch all the bad guys. But, you know, you want to beat the good guys upside the head with rules. I understand that. It's important. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But we have to protect the right people from the wrong people. The man who lost his life savings by working with the wrong person, because the system is set up a certain way, he just didn't take the time to understand how it was calibrated. He pulled the lever on the machine and he lost everything. And so are too many people in the same boat when it comes to their retirement. So I'm going to tell you how the system is set up, and I learned this in a very painful fashion. I just kind of talked to you about that. And I'm going to talk to you about two systems and basically how they're calibrated, maybe even three systems. And number one is the retirement system itself. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'll do this with you if you decide to come on board and work with me. I'll talk to you about it in detail. I want to talk about a little bit about what it is and how it works. And basically it's a set of laws and it's a set of rules that we all have to comply with. Okay. You got the pension system. Basically, that's employer funded. There is rules to obtain your benefits. You got to work until a certain age, and then you can only get out a certain amount when you retire. And based on what you choose, whether it's a life option or you get 100%, your wife gets nothing, or you get 50% now, and then when you die, your wife gets 50%, or you take 70% and she gets a certain. There's so many options in these pension payouts. It's just unreal. And, Yeah, I hear people struggling with this all the time, right? What did you choose? Well, I chose this one. It's like, oh man, I shouldn't have chose that one. Now you can't change it. And then if you die before reaching retirement age or being fully vested, your spouse may not get anything. And I have a question for you. Do you have to be lucky to make the pension system work for you if that's all you have in your financial planning system? Do you have to be lucky to make that work? I had a client who was in a pension system, and basically what he did was he died before reaching the age where he could choose a pension option and a payout, and his wife and his daughter only got like a small fraction of what he would have gotten had he chosen a certain option. They got a fraction of that, and it broke my heart because I had been telling him, yo, dude, you can retire. You don't need to keep going in there. He's like, yeah, Harold, but I'm just gonna keep working and get my Social Security and all of that. And then, so thankfully, they're gonna get some of the Social Security, but like it was just hard. And so do you have to be lucky to make that work? And that's all I'm gonna say about it. And then you got the 401k system. And inside the 401k system, you got some of them it's self-funded. The employers do give you a match. In some cases, they don't. Your investment options are some cases is just mutual funds. In some cases, it can be self-directed, which allows you to buy stocks and options depending on how the system is set up. And then only limited employers offer self-directed. And why? Well, number one is expensive. In some cases, it's over $100 per employee to have access to it. Now, if you got like 1,000 employees and you're going to give every single one of them access to it, whether they use it or not, that's $100 a month times 1,000 times 12 times like how many every years they work. That's a lot of money. And then your employers don't want you day trading your account when you're supposed to be working. Okay. And that's why they only offer it to certain people that normally don't have access to a computer or a phone when they're working. And usually it's medical professionals, highly compensated employees that are in management at certain companies, doctors, I would say, airline pilots. I see that a lot with them. They have access to it. Flight attendants, they have access to it. And because, when you're working a flight, you're not sitting there trading your stocks. You have to be on point. And then 3, you can choose the wrong stocks, mutual funds, and lose too much. And then the employer can be held responsible for that, kind of like the Enron thing. And they have fiduciary rules. So your company is a fiduciary. That's why a lot of companies only allow certain mutual funds inside the 401k. You look in there, you might have 3 or 4 target date funds or, say 7 or 8 target date funds, and then 3 or 4 large cap funds, mutual funds, 3 or 4 mid cap, 3 or 4 small cap, and then bonds, and then things like that. So, you might be lucky if you get 30 options to choose from inside your 401k, and mostly mutual funds or some kind of bond fund. And then number 4, this is just my assumption. I don't want to get like slammed for this, but I think, and this is just my assumption in my opinion, in some cases, the employers don't want you doing too well so that you retire too early, creating like massive amounts of turnover in the workforce, because every time a person retires, they have to hire somebody to replace them. And this has become more and more prevalent with the social issues that we have in the workplace, with the older generation fighting with the younger generation, don't see things the same way. And so there's going to be more turnover in the future, but I think this would exacerbate it. So do you have to be lucky to make the 401k system self-directed, whatever, work for you? Number one, your employer has to offer it. Then you have to be able to fund it. And you have to be able to choose the right mix of stocks and mutual funds at the right time. And then you have to know when to sell them and rotate them at the right time. And going back to being able to fund it, some people can't fund their 401k because they just don't have enough money. They're not making enough to fund it, but that's a whole different story. And again, do you have to be lucky to make this work? And then the last thing we have is the outright stock market, right? You can buy stocks, mutual funds, options, REITs, bonds, treasuries, crypto. This is stuff that you all know, but most people aren't, this is not where they're at. They're in their 401k, and that's their largest asset, and that's all they have. Better to have that than nothing. Question, do you have to be lucky to make the regular stock market work for you? Talked about the people buying Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla all at the right time, crypto at the right time. They're successful now, but these people, I would say a lot of them were lucky. But how do you add some skill to that? Well, you got to understand your risk tolerance, your time horizon, understand your tax situation. If you get up big, then you got to sell. That could that could, eat into your profits. And if you're a high income earner and you have, say, $1 million of profit in your NVIDIA options, and now you got to sell it because it's about to mature, or, the option is going to expire, you got to take that tax hit. And so, if it's a short term option, that's bad. You got to understand your cash flow situation, understand your cash reserve situation, understand market trends, understand all the different types of market risk and risk mitigation techniques, such as hedging and rotation and different things like that. Question: how much luck do you need to get this right? And this is what I've seen so far. Now, this is crazy. Only 3% of all Americans will have enough to last them their entire lives once they retire. Only 3%. What happened to them? Were they the only lucky ones? No. I'm going to say it's simple. They're not lucky. They're just skillful. Those who figure out the system and they use it to create their own luck or opportunity. It takes time and it takes effort. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this, but I'm going to share something with you. Now, I have clients who have, figured out that their employer offers self-directed 401ks. Anytime I take a new client on board, the first thing I ask them is, where's all your money at? Where's most of it? If it's in the 401k, the first thing I say is this. Ask is this: does your employer offer self-directed 401k or personal choice retirement accounts through Schwab? If the answer is yes, I'm like, oh boy, we are off and running. Now, I want to point out something to you. I'm with Schwab, and Schwab puts out this data, but Schwab puts out a lot of data. And I like them. They're big, they're huge. We got great research that we can tap into, but we also have our own. And the report said this about the self-directed brokerage accounts. The average balanced finished Q3 2024 at 347,437, up 20.7% year over year, and a 3.7 increase from the second quarter of 2024. Balances continue to rise on strong market performance amid interest rates cuts, easing inflation, and cooling labor market, the report noted. Equities continue to hold the majority of assets in self-directed brokerage accounts at 34.4%, and the largest equity sector holding was information technology at 37%. During the quarter, Apple 10.9 reclaimed the top spot from NVIDIA 10.4 as the largest individual stock holding, and Tesla 6.1, Amazon 4.8, and Microsoft at 3.8 remain the top holdings. Now, I'm not saying if you have self-directed, just go do that. That's not what I'm saying, okay? Here's the kicker, and this is where a lot of people fall short. Advised accounts held higher average account balances compared to non-advised accounts. 548,576 versus 303,297. So this means that if you're working with someone, you could potentially have $248,000 more in your account. Question is at what cost, right? Harold, what is it going to cost me to get somebody to help me manage my 401k account? Because I don't want to be paying fees and getting ripped off, and these guys don't perform, and on and on and on. Well, many accounts have limits on what advisors can charge if they're going to pull directly from your account. And usually it's well below what they charge on the open market. Well below. I mean, it is well below. And it's not really worth their time. If you're managing $200-300 million, and now you got to dip over here and spend 30-40 hours a month managing 401ks, and you can't really get paid what you're worth. That's why a lot of guys don't do it, because it's just not worth it. You wonder why not enough people, can retire with enough, because there's not a lot of help out there. And so what I decided to do was, because I have capacity, I have bandwidth, and I care about my people, and I've created a system that works and that's very efficient, and I care about them not only now but also in the future. Here's what I do. My fee for advising on their account is quite simple. If it's mutual funds only, it's $2,000 annually paid every quarter from your Schwab account. And if it's options and stocks, it's $3,500 annually paid quarterly from your Schwab account. The only way I would take you on board is if you set up a Schwab account with me and you fund your Schwab account, so I can pull my 401k management fee out of your Schwab account. If you don't set up the Schwab account, I'm not doing it. It's a waste of time. Now, here's the thing. let me just go back to where we're at right now. So our average balance as of October 8th, 2024 was $810,000 in our clients' 401k accounts. Okay. As of today, it's roughly $950,000. All right. You know the average age of these clients? That's 53.63. That's the average age of these people. Some of them can retire at 55 and walk away. We might be at $1 million or $1.5 million for them by then. And some are going to go to 65. And I don't even know what that's going to look like at 65. And I started the service back in 2022, as an add-on for my clients, because they simply said, we don't know what to pick, Harold, and we don't have time to look at this stuff and monitor it. And we don't have your expertise. So can you help us? And I thought about it. And for me, it was kind of like, man, this is not going to be making me much money at all. Like, not at all. It's extremely risky. And the average balance back then in January of 2022 was, $580,000. And the bottom line is this: for $2,000 a year or $3,500 a year, you can hire my firm and me to help you with this. And this is well below what I should be charging. And here's why. My goal is this. A lot of people, they don't trust advisors. They don't trust people. So if I can prove to myself and then help you retire successfully, I want you to roll over your account to me so that I can collect my normal fee of 2.2% or so. Mind you, I'm also going to be building out your overall financial plan. We're going to be looking at cash flow management, cash reserve systems, income generation, and I'm going to put you in the rapid retire financial planning process. Managing your 401k is just part of it. That's a big part of it, but it's just part of it because you still need to do things outside the 401k. Now, if you don't roll your money over to me when you retire, I'm going to simply resign as your advisor. I mean, this is just like, and you can move your money somewhere else and I'll wish you good luck. All right. So I do this out of the goodness of my heart to help my clients and to help my people. And I'm not going to take you on board unless I know that you're going to be a good fit. And then you're not going to turn around and stab me in the back down the road. If you're like that and you just want somebody to work for you for cheap, I'm not interested in that. And you got to figure out if you want to have a successful retirement or, turn into a disaster by being unlucky. And unlucky people, I see it a lot. They make excuses about everything. They got bad timing. They do things at the wrong time. They don't act soon enough. And then when they do act, they make wrong choices. And so, having somebody to kind of walk you through this and then to hold your hand and to guide you, that's very important. And I'm telling you, $2,000 a year, that's nothing. You waste that on a cell phone. You waste it on Netflix. You waste it on all kinds of crap, depending on your situation. And so if you have a self-directed account, I want you to call my office, schedule an overview meeting to see if I can help you get to the 3% and stay there once you retire. So this show is dedicated to everybody who has a self-directed 401k or 403b or any type of opportunity inside of their 401k to buy stocks, options, mutual funds, and different things like that. Primarily stocks and options because mutual funds are underperforming. Just not even going to get into it. So thanks for tuning into the show. I do hope I sincerely hear from you. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is the podcastfactory.com.